here in the stadium, and hopefully it has a contagious effect as far as results go for Brisbane. But right now, Macarthur, they'll be hoping to lean on their very good head-to-head record. Unbeaten in their last 8 against Brisbane, including winning their last 3 trips to the Sunshine State. Can the Roar turn that around? Season 2025-26 is underway in the Isuzu UTE League for Brisbane Roar and Macarthur FC. And I'm joined by former championship winner with the Roar, Eric Partaloo, an early corner to get this game underway.
Teo, great to see you, mates, and it's going to be a fantastic game tonight here at Suncorp. It couldn't have started any better, really, getting this early corner, which Jay O'Shea will go over and take. But the war cry from Michael Valkanis, the coach, is put the Roar back into Brisbane. Let's see if they can do so.
A first-minute goal would be quite the statement. O'Shea's corner, near post, flicked high. Miller had Stajc challenging in the air, but ultimately beaten to the ball by Randazzo, and now the Roar reload and go again. Henry Hoare taking on Ollie Randazzo, and it's going to be consecutive corners before even 1 minute on the clock.
It's a really positive start for Brisbane Roar, and they haven't been playing with a lot of width throughout their pre-season. It's good to see Henry Hoare in these sorts of areas and getting forward, getting down the line. Did that just stay in? It did. And it was good defending by the youngster, Oliver Randazzo, in the end.
Philip Curto, the Macarthur goalkeeper, looking very relaxed. Standing in amongst a lot of bodies. In swinging corner from McGarry. And Curto, the goalkeeper, rises highest. Macarthur trying to clear their lines. Sam Klein making a presence for Brisbane. McGarry. And as O'Shea goes to ground, it's a bit of a set-piece barrage to get things started at Suncorp.
Well, we thought that Brisbane Roar were going to be the physical side in this contest tonight. Luke Bratton, not short of a tackle or two. He knows Suncorp all too well.
Bratton, who was at the Roar from 2009 to 2015. A decade since he left, and his career still going strong. So Macarthur, concentration being tested right out of the gate. O'Shea. His free kick dealt with, but the second ball is on. Klein's cross. Solid header away by Harry Sawyer, and now the follow-up volley. Well, James McGarry is nominally a left footer, but he let rip on his wrong side there.
Well, there's 6 Raw players in the starting 11 that haven't played any A-League at all. McGarry, one of those players, and on the weaker foot, the right-hand side, you can see him bombing up and down the left tonight, and they can be sure of the Brisbane Roar being physical. Macarthur, they've got to get up to grips with that.
You wouldn't know it was Macarthur, who had been playing in the ACL too and had a couple of group games under their belt over the last month. O'Shea's header. Long. Pleading to the referee. No free kick forthcoming. Brisbane had their own pre-season preparations, though, Eric, including a trip to the Solomon Islands to get up to speed.
They certainly did, and they're undefeated in their pre-season as well. I'm sure Miles Sturjovski has watched a bit of the video, particularly against the Solomon Islands. It's a good hit out, really, going across there and training in possibly a place hotter than Brisbane, if that's possible. But, you know, Ruben Zadkovic also went to India last year and had overseas experience, and it took them 14 games to get their first victory. So they'll be hoping something different this year.
Thomas Labuskok commits a foul here. Long is already asking about cards to the referee. Luke Bratton says, friend, you've been in the A-League for less than 4 minutes. Don't ask for a card just yet.
Welcome. Well, I was a bit wasteful there from the Roar, but you can see the idea already. Macarthur trying to match that physicality.
Pre-game, we were discussing whether the Roar would continue with a 4-2-2-2 formation that Michael Valkanis, the new coach there, had been using. So the 2 players, we were unclear how wide they would go, Eric. What are we watching for with regards to the width that they create in their attacking third?
Yeah, I'm not too sure if they've popped into a 4-3-3 because Henry Hoare wants to go outside a little bit wider. We haven't really seen either team get the ball down and put a pattern of play together yet. They talked in the pre-game about being upbeat and getting in the faces. It's a physical battle from the first whistle. The ball won't sit down.
And Long is coming in for plenty of attention as Politaitis steers the ball back into the penalty area, and now Curto has time to take a little run-up. An exchange of headers. Milorad Stajic. And then running away from Houston Salas, the Costa Rican. The ball goes out for a Macarthur throw. Again, a chance for them to exhale and just get a feel for possession. More certainly forcing the issue through these first 5 minutes. Tomislav Uskok as Macarthur venture long. Harry Sawyer, a towering presence in their attack, but one flick header, and that's the end of that.
We've seen Harry Sawyer been playing really well in Asia, and in particular against Beijing Guan, getting that assist for Chris Economidis. He's got to add that little different dimension to his game of keeping the ball, particularly in the air. Can he try and get players around him? Here we go again.
Good chest down on this occasion. Dean Bosniak, quick 1-2 with Anthony Caceres, who's had to really put his stamp on the game. Politaitis over to Will Mackay. It's his starting debut in the A-League tonight. We've seen him in both the Cup and the Champions League, and he's retained his spot over on the right. Here is Economidis. Macarthur's first attack. Little subtle shirt grab on Sawyer. Caceres recycling play back out to Mackay. Randazzo with a quick 1-2. Now Bratton. Macarthur starting to get some passing patterns going. Cross blocked initially and then cleared away. Feels like the Bulls have now settled. They're starting to show what they can do. Klein commits a foul as he tries to win the ball back.
That's a really smart move, that, from Luke Bratton, just showing that experience, putting his body in the way of the young Sam Klein. Top scorer last year for the Roar with 5 goals. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can add more to his game this year, get on the ball and play that final pass. He's in a good position further forward for the Roar.
Bosniak, Politaitis ran into a 1-on-3. Veering away down the left was Georgios Vrakas. We haven't seen quite as much yet of the Greece former under-19 international, new to the Roar.
And what's interesting about him, Teo, is that he's not taking up a visa spot. So for Brisbane, it's an amazing signing. And he did score against the Solomon Islands in pre-season when he moved further up front, assisting Chris Long in that front line. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. A lot of big raps on him this year.
Vrakas, vastly experienced around the Greek leagues. PAOK, Athens, Calathea, most recently Atromitos, and he was in the Napoli Primavera as a junior. Now we get to see him in the Isuzu UTE League. Abilities headed down, and then an emphatic clearance by Salas. Around the corner goes Bratton. Sawyer, who did score in Macarthur's most recent trip to Suncorp at the end of last season, finds Economidis, and he wins the ball back for Macarthur. Caceres in a little pocket, and the moment was lost. A rare heavy touch from Caceres as the ball goes out for a goal kick.
We haven't seen much from Anthony Caceres so far, but it was a great run forward from Harry Sawyer, and then Economidis keeping it alive, trying to look for that little 1-2, but they ran out of space. It's well defended in the end from the Roar, but they look to get on Anthony Caceres' back. He's a very important player for the Macarthur Bulls.
Dean Buzanis with a long ball. Henry Hoare flicking it on, but not to his team's advantage. Jay O'Shea with a hospital pass. However, Harry Politaitis has come through and wiped out Henry Hoare. I think Adam Kersey is now giving out final warnings before he reaches to his pocket.
Politaitis just sliding in with the studs raised. He's a very lucky boy that there was not more contact made. It was very high as well. Henry Hoare did well to get out of the way of that challenge, to be honest.
So only an attacking half set piece to show from that foul. O'Shea, who netted 3 times last season. And the referee's going to bring this back because you might have heard the whistle sounded at what seemed like an odd time because the free kick had already been played.
There's nothing worse than that happening when you're taking a quick free kick, and it's not going to happen again. The disguise is off now, so they can't play it short, and it almost would have worked out for the Brisbane Roar.
McGarry is the left-footed option, standing there with O'Shea. As O'Shea whips it in, Billity the target, Klein. Little nutmeg was clever from Klein, and De Silva, his body position excellent to put the ball behind for a corner kick.
You can see the improvement already in Sam Klein, the confidence flowing through him, the cheeky nutmeg to get down the line and try and find that final pass. His teammates are applauding. It's a good start, this, from Sam Klein.
He's on track to becoming one of the poster boys of the Raw team from the Sunshine Coast. That's what Queensland football is all about, Sam Klein. Here comes the corner. O'Shea to the back post. Klein was there and he couldn't quite will himself meaningfully onto the ball. He believes it should be another corner, but the ruling is a goal kick, and Philip Curto is down with trouble for his right shoulder.
Well, the delivery certainly troubled everybody, including the goalkeeper. It was a long one to the far post from Jay O'Shea, and Klein just threw himself at it, and I think it's just the way that he's landed there, Curto. It's hanging up in the sky and just needed somebody to go all the way over. The collision there with Caceres has brought Curto down and hurt his shoulder.
Uncharacteristic to see him scrambling like that under a high ball. Normally one of the most reliable keepers in the league.
Well, it's quite interesting from a Brisbane Roar point of view. Valkanis has been speaking about being physical and all those sorts of things, but set pieces, they've had quite a few opportunities now from free kicks, from corners. They're throwing themselves in there.
Philip Curto in A-League match number 163 tonight. Here's another look at the incident from a new angle.
Well, Caceres has got to go for that. He's got to put himself in between the goal and the bigger Sammy Klein. Just unlucky that he got caught there, Curto. I'm not sure if he can move his feet any quicker and come out. He's got a block of 3 in front of him as well, doing the zonal marking. But this might be a good opportunity just for the coaches to get in the ears of the players. We've got a beautiful playing surface here at Suncorp Stadium. Maybe they both need to try and use it a little bit more.
So the assessment continues here for Curto. There is Alexander Robinson, his 20-year-old deputy, member of the Young Socceroos. Just the one A-League appearance and also one appearance in Asia. He last played March 28 at the back end of last season, Alexander Robinson. So he got a full 90 that night. He's not completely uninitiated to the ways of the A-League, but Curto's a wily veteran and a tough customer, and the 34-year-old Pole appears to have dusted himself off after a bit of treatment from the physio. And it means that Alex Robinson can go and resume his seat on the bench. Klein rising for the header. Salas. Randazzo over to Caceres. Now O'Shea round the corner. Runners off and chasing. Long nearly at the fall of the ball. Brave header from Bosniak. O'Shea distributing through the left. Through comes McGarry. Macarthur repelled from the penalty area. Sawyer, great centre forward play, albeit very deep in his defensive half, and that sets Economidis away. Economidis looking for Sawyer on the return ball. He goes to ground, and there was a header for Macarthur. Houston Salas marking Dean Bosniak in the middle, and it slides across the face.
That's more like it. That's more like it from Macarthur. A really good move. All started with that amazing first touch from the big man Sawyer. And once it gets into that position, you can see he's just trying to buy himself a little bit of time to cross in the ball there. Economidis, the late arrival of Bosniak. He came from all the way across from the right-hand side to get himself inside the box and make that number. In the end, Salas did a really good job.
Yet to score an A-League goal, Dean Bosniak. End-to-end at the moment. Raw go down to their attack. McGarry working with O'Shea. Here's Stajc. Even though he's past missed ability, he's going to be back on the ball here. And his centre-back partner, Dimitri Valkanis, on A-League debut, the 19-year-old. Salas, the back heel was really clever. Sets Klein away. Crowd urging for a shot. O'Shea, one more pass. Hoare into the middle. And Long got his step wrong. He volleyed it into himself. And now Bratton protects the ball well. Late contact on Bratton. Advantage given by the referee. Bratton's down in back play, but Economidis wants this attack to keep going. And he's been scythed down. And the first yellow card of the game does go to the youngster on debut. Dimitri Valkanis is in the book.
He had to come out and try and close down and make sure that the quicker Economidis was not going to get himself inside the box. He was looking for options there. Caceres couldn't make a run forward. It's a really crazy challenge from Valkanis just to make sure he stopped that promising attack coming forward. But they played themselves out of traffic really well there on a number of occasions, Macarthur. Luke Bratton at the heart of it. One-touch football, playing in to play out.
Valkanis, who made 19 appearances for the Ajax Athens second team last season. He was a Metro Stars junior in Adelaide before following dad overseas. So another great South Australian product of that club. But he's going to have to watch his step. First A-League game, and he's carrying a card from the 17-minute mark. And while we've seen Raw have a host of attacking half set pieces, now it's Macarthur's turn in the presence of Harry Sawyer, and also Tomislav Uskok will have to be marked and dealt with here by Brisbane.
They're taking an age to get it in. I'm not sure what the hold-up is, but it's what Harry Sawyer gives you around the ball. He's a great target, but if you're a medium-sized guys, and I'm looking at guys like Economidis, even De Silva coming around, they're going to get a little bit freer now, having the big man take the attention of 2 or 3 players.
Dean Bouzanis in goal. It's his 64th A-League appearance tonight, his first since February 2020, when he was at Melbourne City. Luke Bratton on delivery. Oh, and a chance for Harry Sawyer. He didn't quite get the contact right, and even though it beat Bouzanis, it didn't cost him.
Crisis averted. It's a great move from Harry Sawyer to go forward and change his run a couple of times, but Dean Bouzanis has just got a little piece of it there before it got to the big man. They kept a high line, the Brisbane Raw, and it paid off for them.
And so the goal kick taken quickly and the ball back at feet. Hoseen Billity. Salas. And Bouzanis, confident to remain outside his area. Looking to distribute left. Instead picks out Will Mackay. And as the ball finds its way over the line, let's throw it down to ground level and check in with former Socceroo Scott McDonald, who joins us. Scott, thanks for being our eyes and ears down on the sideline tonight. What have you observed through the first 20 minutes?
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. We've got a great game on our hands here, haven't we? It's been end-to-end so far. Both teams have had some good chances. Raw will be kicking themselves with that long one. I know Michael was on the bench there. He's seen it as a really good opportunity, and that's the kind of chances that they want to take this season. They probably didn't do that enough last year, but it's been an excellent start and a real battling performance so far from Raw, and not just on the pitch but off the pitch. The staff are certainly, kicking every ball with them and arguing every foul that's been so far. They wanted a yellow card for Politides early on. They didn't get one, and then weren't happy when Economides obviously went down and they got a booking there. But a really good start from the Raw. They just have to be careful on those counter-attacks.
Thank you, Scott. We'll keep checking in as the game continues, and right on cue, riding every kick of the ball, very much so, is the new Brisbane man.
Yeah, it's good to see. I think from a season that was kind of negative last year to come and try and put a performance in night one. Yes, it's important, but it's about the long-term picture. What are we seeing here from the Brisbane Raw? What are we seeing in terms of patterns?
Bosniak, well, got the better of his man, only to then play an errant pass, and Milorad Stajic, another of the new Raw faces, isn't punished for the slip.
Well, here's that little beautiful move there. Salas, that pass into Sammy Klein, who's got the legs and he's got the know-how to try and find another midfielder. It was Jay O'Shea. Just put it on a platter for Henry Hoare, and Chris Long's been waiting all half for an opportunity. That was a really good one.
Speaking of Long, back involved here, winning this free kick off the veteran Damien De Silva, back in the A-League.
It's a good battle, that one. Two really good footballers on show tonight.
De Silva, 37 years young, played the 23-24 season most recently at Melbourne Victory, before ducking over to Clermont in France for one more season in his home country, and couldn't stay away from Australia. Back he's come.
And if you look at that back line, Teo, for Macarthur, there's just so much experience there. Uzkok, Curto, De Silva, Politides, and the young man Will Mackay. He's going to have to be nurtured in that role at right back tonight, and he's done so well so far.
Neat little overstep there from Jay O'Shea. Couldn't quite connect it with a teammate. You liked that one, Eric?
I did like that one. But that's the sort of move that Brisbane Raw need. They need to have a little bit more creativity, a bit more thought process when they get into the final third. You don't go and score goals by doing something predictable. And for long parts of last season, that's what Brisbane Raw were. They were predictable.
Ability straight up the middle. Long couldn't quite bring Klein into play. The counter-attack starts for Macarthur. Bosniak bided his time. Now Caceres and Bratton. Bosniak making a run, but Caceres wants to go wider to Harry Politides. Having relocated from Melbourne City back to his hometown of Sydney. And now Caceres, you can see him working both the centre-right and centre-left channels. He just roams wherever he's needed. And that's what Macarthur are hoping for with their team in possession. And so now it's a long chain of passes. And it comes unstuck.
That's a really interesting one as well. Houston Salas there.
Bosniak was hurried. He kept the ball in. No flag on the opposite side of the pitch. Sawyer knocked it back to Bratton. He committed to the challenge, and as the ball was running away from him, it looks as though the decision is going Macarthur's way, and you can hear the boos coming from the den.
I think he can count himself very lucky, because he lunged into that Bratsy to try and maybe just keep the ball alive. And it was a great little start there. That's out for all money. Linesman didn't see it that way. And it looked as though he had raised his leg and Jay O'Shea was playing the ball as a block tackle. And at the last minute, Luke Bratton's done ever so well just to make sure he took the contact.
And so it sets up this opportunity in shooting range for Macarthur here. You can see Dean Bazanis arranging 4 in the wall. Bratton currently standing solo over the free kick. No competition. No hint of a left footer to mix it up. It's Luke Bratton's turn. Can he strike true? It catches the wall, and the wall did its job. Easily dealt with by the Brisbane defence.
You know Luke Bratton can hit them, and he's that type of player that you need to just give him the ball in those sorts of areas. But he goes straight in there and fouls Henry Hall. He's been really involved, Luke Bratton, so far.
Feeling like the tensions are just starting to come to the boil. We expected a physical game. Macarthur haven't taken a backward step here. It's fouls in quick succession. And now it's the debutant, Will Mackay, who gets a talking to from the referee, just 19 years old.
It's a little stop-start tonight, and you can see it's probably the frustration from both benches, really, to not allow this game to flow, to keep going. But if you're putting in challenges like that, then the game is going to be stopped.
Valkanis off the middle. Stolen away, and the start-stop nature of the game continues as Randazzo wins a free kick. It's his first A-League start tonight. Oliver Randazzo, the 19-year-old, his 5th total appearance.
It's just very difficult in that midfield at the moment. It's plugged with a lot of players. You can just see it's not the area to be playing in tonight. They've got to go side to side and get a bit more width, both of the sides, really. Macarthur trying to build something here.
De Silva's pass to Politaitis. Doubles back. Caceres with it all to do. Close control. Able to get the better of 2 opponents, but not a third, who was Milorad Stajic. And now a pocket of space. Randazzo keeps the ball moving. Caceres. All midfield getting back to assist the defence. Caceres Sawyer was caught at the back post, and he's pleading to the assistant referee, but it was a comfortable catch for Bazzano, so I'm not sure it was necessarily a retrievable ball.
Watch out, Brisbane Roar, Anthony Caceres getting more and more involved in this game. He's found his little pocket of space now, which he wasn't getting early on. A lot of balls going over him, going into somebody else's feet, but now Macarthur have just got to keep feeding him the ball.
Well, the thing that was so noticeable about Macarthur's pre-season is they turned up to play the Southern Districts Raiders in the Australia Cup with Caceres and Bratton centre midfield, full strength, no thoughts of rotating, right from the very first hit out of the season. So they wanted to arrive sharp in round 1. Ultimately, it was the eventual Cup winners, the Jets, who knocked them out in the quarterfinals. But with ACL2 commitments before the A-League kicked off, there's no doubt that Macarthur wanted to arrive at round 1 match hardened and ready. Mile Stajovski rarely gives anything away on the sideline, but you can just tell what an organised and thorough coach he is.
And it is a big month for them, Teo. A lot of football sandwiched in the A-League. They've still got 2 games against Hanoi in the ACL2. A little bit of travel involved there as well, and you wonder if it's going to hinder their campaign, particularly early on, or is it going to be an advantage? You can see already the patterns are probably a little bit stronger in the way that they're playing compared with the Brisbane Roar, but then again, there's so much A-League experience on show.
Henry Hall picks up possession, but then coughs it straight back. Mackay applying himself well. Caceres. He's had a really good 5 or 6 minutes now. He is commanding the ball. This is what we've become accustomed to seeing, normally in the sky blue of Sydney FC. Economides drifting in from the wing. Did he leave a boot in on Klein? Play continues with Kleinfeld in the background. He's back up now. Politaitis can build a head of steam. Just for the early ball. Ability cleared it to Salas. Raw trying to counter. Klein back up and running. Crowd gets a little bit warmer, a bit more enthused. And the attempt to push it from one wing to the other came up short. Houston Salas stops a counter on counter. That might suit the Roar a little bit more, though. Transitional game, more space to exploit.
Yeah, it's a tough battle for Houston Salas in there. He's not actually a right back, just played the 7 games in his career there. So I guess Michael Valkanis has seen something in him that he can operate in those sorts of areas, but he's got all the attributes to get up and down, and he looks as though he's really up for this one tonight.
Any Wellington Phoenix fans, of course, will remember Houston Salas. 12 appearances for them, for the Costa Rican. Here's a look at Brisbane Roar, very much favouring the right side of the pitch when they venture forward, so a rarer foray down the left unfolding at the moment, but it's a short-lived one. Stage plays it to Salas. Zanos high and hopeful. Mackay's header. Bratton stuck in a 1-on-2. O'Shea. And then Bratton with a foul. Ruckus, the man he knocked over.
He's got to be a little bit careful now, Luke Bratton. There are a lot of men in midfield for the Brisbane Roar tonight. Sam Klein really joined into that physical battle late on. Jay O'Shea's had some really nice touches getting himself and his side out of trouble in the middle part. They haven't been able to capitalise on that once they get the ball in there.
Jay O'Shea, mid-range free kick. Klein making a late run. It's ably defended by Macarthur. Sliced high by Sawyer. And then protestation coming from Millerad Stage as to how he bodied Harry Sawyer, and he's talked his way into the book. Or was it Klein who talked his way into the book?
It's a quick restart there, I think it was, Teo. Yellow card there. And Luke Bratton was trying to play that ball forward. And it's a big question mark, though, after losing a player like Marin Yakalish last season, 10 goals, 12 assists. We talk about players like Anthony Caceres stepping in there. Is he going to get those sorts of numbers? Is Chris Economides going to get those sorts of numbers?
Well, Macarthur are going to have to attack differently, because the great strength at the beginning of last season was Yakalish on one wing and Jed Drew on the other. And in terms of presence of wingers, they haven't really replaced that. It's more Politides, potentially Callum Talbot when he comes back in and plays on the right side as a wing-back. They've entrusted Mackay tonight, but they're building a different kind of attack to the one that they really started fast with last season. And, of course, with so many sales in the January transfer window, players over to Europe, they perhaps understandably declined as the season went on.
And they do have that focal point with Sawyer up there, Ji Dong-Wan on the bench. We know what he can do on a football pitch. Rafa Duran, Shimo Gruzon, they've got options. And I think for Miles Sturjovski, this might be a big tactic for him this year. He's got a lot of football to get through. There's Ji Dong-Wan. Just need to have those sorts of ideas ready to go in the second half of games, having the substitutes coming in, making an impact, making a difference.
It's interesting that the 3 big import signings for Macarthur are all seated on the bench tonight. Shime Grosjean scored off the bench against Beijing Guan 2 weeks ago. We've been talking about Macarthur getting a foothold in the season. 1st of November is that first match against the Western Sydney Wanderers back at Campbelltown Stadium on the Saturday. You might remember at the back end of last year, Wanderers took a huge away bait. That win for Wanderers came right in their good run of form into the final. So I'm sure the Macarthur fans will want to get out and defend their home turf on Saturday the 1st of November against the Wanderers, and not be out-supported and out-sung in their own stadium, because the Wanderers took amazing numbers to that game last season.
Yeah, it's a great pick-up, Teo. 2 out of the last 3 seasons, Macarthur's been involved in Asian football, and I think they have a serious chance to get through out of their group this campaign. Had a good win against Beijing Guan, as you said before.
Salas committed, and he's rolling here. Free kick going Brisbane's way. Does it bounce right back up?
Well, very interesting there that both players had their feet raised. It was Bosniak trying to win the ball, and Salas running through as well. But another set piece for the Brisbane Roar. Can they do something different with it?
13 total fouls in 35 minutes, so both teams are certainly making the referee work. Raw fans keeping the noise going. Now this is the cleverly worked set piece. Is that a handball? Adam Kersey points to the spot, and the veteran Luke Bratton has conceded a penalty kick.
It was like a magnet to the ball. Luke Bratton was being hounded in the middle of the park. His hand and his arm, there was nowhere near his own body, in a completely unnatural position. The cross would have gone in. It's a great call from Adam Kersey. And the Brisbane Roar have the opportunity to draw first blood at Suncorp.
Quickly worked set piece. First time we've seen Georgios Vrakas on the right flank as a result of it being a dead ball situation. Just a different look and a really uncharacteristic mistake for what is normally such a clever veteran in Luke Bratton.
We were asking for that. The set pieces that were coming in for the Roar, could they do something different with it? I like the option of going short. The fans have come to see goals. They don't mind if it comes from the penalty spot. Will it be Vrakas? Will it be Jay O'Shea taking this penalty?
Macarthur have held it up from being taken, and eventually the nominated taker emerges. Who else other than Jay O'Shea? 37 years old now this season. 27 goals in 156 games in the Isuzu UTE League, and he's looking to put the Roar in front here. There's his penalty map, just the one into the crossbar. Otherwise, a very good strike rate. Can Philip Curto come up with the stop and keep Macarthur level? It's O'Shea for the Roar, and it's the Roar in front! Brisbane fans are smiling and jumping in the stands as Jay O'Shea gets the 25-26 season off to a perfect start. Brisbane 1, Macarthur 0.
An absolute dream start for Brisbane Roar, taking the lead at home in round 1 of the season. And who else would it be? The skipper, Jay O'Shea, playing that pass forward on the Harvey Norman replay. Luke Bratton just with that outstretched hand. And talk about a penalty. You cannot hit them any better than what Jay O'Shea did there. He makes Macarthur pay. And the Roar cry from Valkanis has been, put the Roar back into Brisbane. And he's done just that.
The Irishman, who's been through some really tough times. He's been a shining light and a tireless worker, a model professional through some really lean years for the Roar. And wouldn't he love, at this veteran stage of his career, to see an uptick in fortunes and even potentially some team success, having really toiled for his team's cause. It's his 3rd career goal against Macarthur in 12 appearances. And this is a rarity for Brisbane. Macarthur have won their last 3 trips to Brisbane, and they are undefeated in their last 8 against the Roar, but it's Brisbane who have the lead.
I'm still trying to figure out how that exactly occurred, but it's come from nothing but pressure being put on that Macarthur side, whether that's in tackles, whether that's in clearances, whether that's in yellow cards. It's not just the physical element, it's the mental aspect of going in and working hard and trying to beat your opponent. It's been as simple as that for the Brisbane Roar. They want more here.
And as is the case in these early rounds of the season, we get to see how a team plays when they're in front, how a team plays when they're chasing a game. Still a little chunk of time, and don't forget the treatment for Philip Curto means there should be a handful of minutes stoppage coming the way at the end of this first half. However, the Roar want to use that to score a second. Long thought he was away. Instead, the flag has gone up.
Macarthur. They need to find an answer soon, hopefully before half-time. They've kept the ball in areas like this reasonably well, but it's in that middle part where it's very congested. Sam Klein with another tackle, but they've got to get the ball forward a bit quicker into those wide areas. The Raw fans love it in the Den.
That entire bay full, sold out. And as we suggested before kickoff, they want it to be contagious. They want it to start spreading around this arena. Those fans are having the time of their life on the opening night of the A-League right now, though. 5 minutes of regulation plus stoppage until half-time. As Macarthur take over the ball. Bratton, who gave the penalty away. Mackay. Drifting inside. Didn't like his options. Bratton. Politidis. First time. Caceres. Stand-up tackle from Salas. Henry Hawk. O'Shea. Lancing it on. Hooked over the shoulder by Politidis. Oh, spectacular fly through the air from Henry Hoare, and the referee says he had his legs taken out from underneath him by Dean Bosniak.
Look at the way that the Brisbane Roar players are throwing themselves into things tonight. It's leading into half-time, and Henry Hoare is trying to take marks like in the AFL. And Jay O'Shea, they've been talking about him in pre-season and in the off-season, Tay, about going to another level. I didn't think it was possible. But tonight you can just see that his presence out there, having players around him like Stage and Henry Hoare, it's lifted his game even further.
And so, as has been the case on so many occasions in this half, it's a set piece for Brisbane. McGarry leaves it for O'Shea. Klein got the header on it. It sits up in the box. Stage perhaps had his back turned to the ball, though. It would be safe to describe Milorad Stajic as a goal-shy defensive midfielder over his career in both Switzerland and Serbia, so perhaps we can forgive him for not having the penalty box instincts there to turn and strike at a loose ball as it worms its way out for a goal kick here. Just taking another look at a new angle of the penalty.
It's just nice work to do something different from that distance and catch Luke Bratton and the Macarthur defence off guard. What certainly was on guard was the Dubliner, Jay O'Shea, smashing that one into the top corner.
That is the decisive moment in the game so far. However, there might be more on the way for Brisbane here. Klein commanding possession and then split the middle of two teammates. Mackay then gives it straight back. Macarthur inviting on the pressure. O'Shea. Henry Hoare. Vrakas. Henry Hoare. Moore found its way back to his feet. More by accident than design. Stage. Started out on the left wing, has found its way back to the goalkeeper to reset and go again. Uscox header. Powered forward. Uscox slid in. It's going to deflect kindly for Klein. And Curto is sure-handed behind the shot.
I thought just for a second there that Chris Long was in an offside position. But Sam Klein getting himself into good positions on the field and picking up scraps and stepping on and finishing that play with a shot on target. It's very positive. Philip Curto saw that one into the breadbasket though.
You can see their shots on target at a premium. That was only Raw's second of the game. Macarthur had to significantly trouble Dean Bouzanis.
And that's got to be the biggest talking point, I think, for Mile Sturjovski at half-time. It's not about conceding the penalty. It's about what are they going to do to create chances. We saw in the ACL2 playing a 4-4-2 sort of formation. It's very similar tonight. They're late in the press. They're late stepping forward. They're looking around their shoulders at the moment, wondering, do we go? Do we not go? There's a little bit of disjointedness.
And that pass out to the left touch line sneaked over. Bratton. 4 minutes of stoppage at the end of the first half, the majority of that down to treating Philip Curto for a knock to the shoulder. Randazzo. Eric, I'll get you to put your coach's hat on because we have flagged that Macarthur have all three of their import signings in the off-season waiting on the bench. Shimei Grajan, Raphael Duran and Ji Dong-won. So we see a free kick going Brisbane's way here. And a card. Luke Bratton, Adam Kersey saying it's for persistent fouling. And listen to the roars, second only to the goal from the home fans.
You've got to give them credit, the Raw. They were talked about being the physical side, but they have been the cuter of the two sides, particularly in this middle third. There's a lot of numbers around. Chris Long does ever so well at coming short to receive the ball. Luke Bratton on a tightrope for the second half now. But to answer your question, Teo, I think we're going to see Grosjean and Duran for sure. We've seen them in the ACL too, coming off the bench, maybe not ready for the start of the game. But Ji Dong-won wouldn't be bad to see him. We saw him in the Australia Cup as well.
You imagine he might be a like-for-like switch with Harry Sawyer at the top of the spear. Spear which has been blunted by, you'd have to say, Raw's midfield more than Raw's defence so far in this one. One of the reasons Dean Bazanis hasn't had a shot on target to save is that his defence hasn't been confronted with too many red alert scenarios either. See the foul count there. Macarthur more than double. Bratton, that was clever. However, he's been caught by Salas, who's really guarded that right side of the pitch so well. And a tangle here does lead to a Macarthur free kick. Caceres, the man who was infringed.
Look where Caceres is. That's how troubled he is about his teammates. They're not being able to play out. They're not being able to get out into the Brisbane Roar's half. That's been the story of the first 45 minutes for them. Is just how do they get the ball from here into the other zone in the second part of the pitch.
De Silva trying to provide some impetus. But the ball ends up back at his feet, back in the defensive half. And then he misfires with that pass. Disappointment for the Frenchman. Salas with a sneaky long throw. Politidis down to Uskok. Last minute of stoppage at the end of an intriguing first half in Game 2 of the Isuzu UTE A-League 2025-26 season. Caceres unable to will himself onto the ball. Did O'Shea get a bit cute? Caceres does get his chance here. It's breaking for Politidis. And his shot swept upon by Henry Hall, who backtracked in the nick of time. And that might be that for the first half. Only seconds left to play with for Macarthur here. They'll have to hurry. Bosniak, Stajic. And that does do it. So the Michael Valkanis era in charge of the Brisbane Roar is only 45 minutes old, but they do have the lead. And there's a bit of afters here. Milorad Stajic and Luke Bratton making acquaintances. No backward step for the former Bosnian youth international on his Roar debut. They are setting a new tone at Suncorp. And that will spice things up for the second half when these two teams emerge from the rooms. It's been physical, it's been uncompromising, and it's been the Brisbane Roar with the only goal of the game so far. Jay O'Shea's penalty at halftime makes it Brisbane Roar 1, Macarthur 0. Halftime show on the other side of this short break. Stay with us if you're watching in Australia on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Suncorp Stadium. I'm here with Eric Pardaloo and Andy Harper. Guys, welcome. Wow. Let's get into this F3 derby, the local game. It's the oldest derby in the league and it always brings a lot of excitement. But these Central Coast Mariners are obviously heading into a bit of a difficult period. They've obviously lost Mark Jackson right at the forefront of the season. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough start for them. I think whoever comes into that position has to gel this team within a matter of days, minutes, hours, whatever he can do. It's going to be a tough ask to beat a high-flying Newcastle Jets. They've just won the Australia Cup under Mark Milligan. They are looking like they're going to have a really big season. The Mariners haven't really recruited a lot of players, so my question is where the goal's going to come from and how they're going to stop them. Sainsbury's still out, Caltech's not there anymore, Docker. It's a tough game for the Mariners.
It's brilliant reasons for both sets of fans to tune in, if not go to the stadium, because the Jets fans will think we've just won the Cup and we could have a bloodbath on our hands here, and it's going to be great as a Jets fan to just totally dismember the Central Coast Mariners. If you're the Mariners, this is territory with which unfortunately you're a bit familiar, but also you look for your team to actually find a backbone when it counts, and they're very capable of doing that. And so for the 93rd minute goal against the run of play to beat the Jets, that's what the Mariners will be looking for. The Jets will think there's just going to be a feast on hand, so there's plenty of reasons for both fans to tune in and see which story actually ends up being told.
And what do you think it meant for those Jets fans with their team holding up that silverware during the off-season? That Australia Cup win would have meant a lot as they head into this new season.
It would have been massive, right? I think, 17 years without a trophy. Mark Milligan steps in with Nick Stavroulakis, and trying to embed a way of playing is one thing, but going and being successful and winning things under pressure is what football is all about. And, I hope they can do something in the A-League now.
Absolutely. OK, let's talk about, we've done domestic, let's go international and talk about the Matildas. Joe Montemuro has named his squad for the games against England and Wales. And of course, we're all very happy to see that Samantha Kerr has made the list. What are your thoughts on her return to the game and what it means for this team?
Well, it's a little bit of a headline, just a small headline. I mean, everyone's been waiting for 2 years. It's been a really protracted recovery. Slowly being returned to top-flight football with Chelsea. I'm not sure whether Sam feels she's more ready than her club coach does, but anyway, we'll get to see with the Socceroos. It's massive news. So big, in fact, that it overshadows the return of Courtney Vine to the squad as well. Now, Courtney has not been available for a number of reasons for a long period of time as well. World Cup superstar from that Brisbane penalty shootout. I think it was Brisbane against France, whichever it was, against France. So she's repatriated to the squad as well. So there's a lot of big names coming together for this very important game. Yeah, against England, no less.
Yeah, and they're playing Wales as well, that they've never played against before. And it's been 700 days, I think, since Sam Kerr's been in this squad. And Hayley Russo is also in line for her 100th cap, the 17th Matilda to do so. There's a lot to like about the squad. I think Joe is now funneling in and focusing in just 4 months away from the Asian Cup being at home. So these are great tests for you. It's a semi-final of the World Cup replay against the Lionesses, and then against Wales, who will be really hard to beat across there.
Absolutely. Well, we have plenty of exciting football coming your way. We've got the F3 Derby. We also have the Melbourne Derby that is not too far away, but it was all live and exclusive on Paramount+.
Welcome back to the Hungry Jacks halftime show. And at Suncorp Stadium, it's Brisbane Roar enjoying a 1-0 lead in the Isuzu UTE A-League opening night fixture here against Macarthur. Let's take a look at how they took that lead on the Harvey Norman highlights. Eric Partaloo, talk us through the key moments of the first 45.
Set pieces, getting forward for Brisbane Roar and just mixing it up. It's as simple as that for...
You made a great point about how they foreshadowed this exact routine earlier in the half, but the referee brought it back because he didn't blow his whistle in time, but they wanted to do it again.
Well, it worked, didn't it? The second time of asking. Jay O'Shea didn't need a second invitation from the penalty spot. As he's done his whole Brisbane Roar career, just rifle it into the top corner and really send those fans into a frenzy. They wanted goals, they wanted success. They're 45 minutes away from it.
Jay O'Shea 1 from 1 this season after 3 goals in 26 games in the A-League last campaign. Here are the numbers. Does anything jump out off the page at you as significant about the numbers underlying that 1-0 scoreline?
Well, Macarthur had the best shooting accuracy in the league last season. They've had 0 shots on target. That is a worry for Mile Sturjovski, those final third entries. Just getting the ball long into Harry Sawyer is not really working at the moment. They're going to have to find a different dimension.
So the Bulls boys need to lift. Macarthur, what can they do out of the rooms in the second half? That's coming up on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Yes, well, I reckon I'm well credentialed to talk about the F3 Derby. I've been at a few. It's a rivalry with two teams from two working class towns who don't necessarily like each other.
And all of a sudden the F3 derby boils over.
In my opinion, the rivalry started in 2005 when Nick Merger broke Andrew Durante's leg, and that's when the dislike kicked in. That didn't go down well, also with the Jets winning the first championship. Definitely the biggest fixture for both clubs. They look forward to it, the fans look forward to it. It's the first thing you look at when the draw comes out. Even when they did joint press conferences, it was just different. There was an intensity there, the will to win for themselves to get the points, but for the fans.
Donovan! Oh, what a header! He has the hat-trick this time.
My favourite moment from the F3 derby was the semi-final, second leg, we're down 2-0. Adam Kwasnick scored in the first half, deflected goal, cut inside, smashed it and it dropped in the top corner. Then Sash Petrovsky popped up with 2 goals, one in extra time.
Petrovsky! Sash Petrovsky! The Mariners may be on their way to the grand final!
Being 2-0 down and coming back to win 3-2, you don't get that often, and that was special.
Laurie, you've been on both sides. Where do your loyalties lie?
I'm the mayor of the Central Coast. Where the do you think my loyalties lie?
Welcome back to live pictures from Suncorp Stadium. Young fans enjoying what they've seen so far. Let's get the perspective from pitch side and throw it down to Scott McDonald. Scott, what have you seen?
Yeah, well, obviously the Brisbane Roar fans are happy with that first half. I think Michael Valkanis will be as well. The energy is poured from not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well, with the whole sort of bench itself, they've been excellent, you have to say, and I think that midfield battle is where they've sort of outfought and outrun Macarthur so far. That's something that Mile Stojovski has to look at. The goal as well, from a Macarthur point of view, you have to be hugely disappointed with that. You know, as you touched on in commentary, they tried that quick free kick early on in the piece, and then they did it again and got away with it. So a little bit of a lack of a football intelligence, you have to say, from Macarthur's sort of end, and you'd be heavily frustrated as a coach. But look, the game's still in the balance, and like you guys talked about, those 3 foreigners to come on from Macarthur. And the big question will be, can Brisbane Roar keep up that energy, keep winning those second balls, and try and get us up the pitch and try and hurt Macarthur as much as they can while they're obviously on top? Because I think at the moment they'll have a lot more of the ball, even though it probably says in the possession stats not. You have to say in the final third, Brisbane Roar have looked more deadly.
Fantastic. Scott McDonald with his observations, and we will keep checking in as the second half continues. It does appear as though there have been no halftime substitutions, so the 11s that started the game, including first gamer Dimitri Valkanis there, who is on a yellow card. He was the first player in the book in the first half, will resume the game here at the start of the second. And the whistle goes as Macarthur kick off, trailing 1-0 to the Brisbane Roar here in the Isuzu UTE A-League. Opening round, and it's thrown up. A very promising contest so far, albeit one, Eric Partaloo, where perhaps a little bit more skill and inspiration and a little bit less fire and brimstone might balance the game out as a contest.
Well, there's another tackle going in there straight away, Teo. And yeah, I think for Brisbane Roar's longer-term plan, is this going to be a success playing the way that they are? We will get a very good indication of what they're going to be like in this second 45. Will they sit in and protect that 1-0 lead and play long and play off the big man Chris Long up front, or will they look to get the ball down and keep possession a little bit more?
No time wasted by Bratton over the free kick. Billity, first contact on the ball, and enough to clear it, but only as far as Harry Politinas. He's got Anthony Caceres. Between about the 22 and 29 minute mark in the first half, Caceres really looked like he was taking over, but the Brisbane Roar midfield were able to get back and starve him of possession and curtail what was starting to become a bit of a dominating influence on the game. Here he is, Caceres now. He's found a free header, and Dean Bosniak did not make the most of it.
Well, there were 4 players there for Macarthur. This is the start that Mile Stojovski would have wanted.
And good sportsmanship here. Chris Long has gone down, and in distress, it was Luke Bratton who signalled to the referee to say his fallen opponent needed the trainer to come out.
It's Caceres pulling all the strings, getting that opening. Once he faces goal, it's trouble for any team. Bosniak right there had a lot of time on his hand, could have probably even brought it down, and Bratton just moved him into that collision with De Silva. That's a sore one, but you expect the central defenders to eat that for breakfasts.
Damien De Silva has gone through shoulder first there. At the foot of your screen, you can see the players on yellow cards from the first half. Doctor and physio both speaking to the Englishman Long. This is going to be an unfortunate end to his debut if he doesn't pass the concussion test here.
It did look a nasty one, and you don't want to see these sorts of things happening early on, particularly in the A-League for Brisbane Roar. They need that striking option up there. They need another goal.
Certainly no shortage of like-for-like options. They've got both Michael Roos and Justin Vidic on the bench. And it looks as though Michael Valkanis is preparing one of them. It's Vidic who's got the call. The youngster who left the Bonnie Rig White Eagles for the Newcastle Jets to make his A-League debut, and then is now getting a chance at a second A-League club. Scott McDonald has a bird's eye view as this change goes through. Scotty, how did you see that collision?
Yeah, look, I don't think it was a foul. There wasn't really anything coming from Brisbane Roar as well. It was just one of those challenges where, as a centre forward, and Long is actually coming back on the field, so Vidic is just getting ready and waiting, but he seems to be running about, seems fine again. He's a scouser, he's a hard man, he'll be okay, I think. He's took plenty of knocks in that lower leagues in English football, so it was just one of those horrible ones as a striker. Eric, you would have loved that coming through the back of me.
Sure would have, Scotty. Great analysis, mate. I think you're spot on, particularly about that midfield battle as well. As we see that unfold, I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost. But yeah, Chris Long's still on the pitch right now, shuffling away.
So good news on a couple of fronts for Brisbane, and it does raise the question if Vidic was getting ready to be subbed on, whose number will be up? Macarthur are attacking in the meantime. A high ball over the head of Sawyer, and Bosniak very nearly cleverly to his own advantage, but the ball runs on. Mackay pressing forward. Haven't seen that often in the game from the right back, but he ventures up the pitch to help the attack, which continues here at the feet of Polititis. And now he goes on a darting run. It drew a defender and opened up for the shot. And Macarthur starting to get a bit braver. Caceres sends that one high.
Another danger sign for the Macarthur Bulls. Getting this man on the ball, just wouldn't sit down. He hit it really almost too well. Didn't trouble Bazanis in the end, but it's interesting the way that they've started this game. Caceres is getting a lot more action, but if you notice, Bosniak's just going and linking and staying alongside Harry Sawyer. So if they're going to go big, they have that option of the scraps falling off him as well.
Braddon sends Mackay wide to the right. Doesn't want to go forward though. De Silva. A telegraphed pass, but Caceres able to protect the ball. Now he's going to take on Klein. Klein goes to ground. And Caceres kept his feet. And it allows him to pick his pass here. It's a bit of a spectacular collision between Valkanis and Sawyer. Uscock retrieves the ball. Economides. Neat build up from Macarthur. Chris Economides played in. And then the cut across. Sawyer tumbles out of the way. Able to get a goal-bound shot. O'Shea sensing the need to take responsibility here. And that's a good outlet pass. Long draws a foul, and that was excellent centre-forward play. And Tomislav Uscock goes into the referee's book. He is on a yellow card.
It's starting to heat up at Suncorp. It's a lovely pass into Chris Long. That's exactly what you want from your striker, to turn away and face forward and get away from your central defender. But Uscock, he was caught out, and it's a cynical challenge, the one that he had to make in the middle of the park. Chris Long is going to need a big ice bath tonight.
And so Tomislav Uscock has a yellow card to his name. The 34-year-old scored against Beijing Guan 2 weeks ago. So defending at the centre of defence remains his top priority, and he nicks the ball away here for a Brisbane Roar throw. So Vidic has got the bid back on, and it's Michael Roos who is getting the tactical briefing here. So Roar have done a bit of a switcheroo. And it's going to be Michael Roos. Next break in play. We'll wait for him to enter the game. Roar would love nothing more than to welcome him with a 2-goal buffer. Really clever from O'Shea. And now whipped into the box and over the head of the oncoming Henry Hall.
It's just so important for Brisbane Roar that their wide players, especially McGarry, look how high up the left back is for the Roar. Jay O'Shea with a little trick and flick, and it's a lovely ball in. Just needed more bodies around it. He's going to be Chris Long's last involvement.
So he's played a handful of minutes and been on the end of another hard foul ever since that knock that ironed him out initially. And so Justin Vidic will get his opportunity to make his first appearance for the Brisbane Roar, just his 14th career appearance for the 21-year-old. And Henry Hall is the other player making way, and Michael Roos will represent his 4th Isuzu UTE A-League club as he comes on here. It's his 95th career game. He's only scored the 13 goals, but he's been very much a project at each of his clubs, including Macarthur where he spent the 2020-21 and 21-22 seasons scoring 3 times. And as I recall, he refused to celebrate when he scored against them, even though he did only spend a very short time and not an overly prominent time there. But we'll see if he scores tonight, if he still feels the same way.
Classy touch. What that means for the Raw is now 2 big men up front. They've been talking about it in pre-season, having Michael Roos and Justin Vidic up there. What that does to Georgios Vrakas now, I think you'll see him play a little bit deeper.
And even though they've brought on Roos, who has such a good reputation for pressing and energy, they are laying in wait at the moment. Almost 10 minutes into the second half. The Brisbane Raw, right on cue. Vidic just with a little sprint to keep things interested. You saw there it was Styac who was charging out to lead the press, and he very nearly had a counter-attack launching. So Macarthur are going to respond with changes of their own, and it's going to be an A-League debut for Shime Grajan. We've seen him in the ACL too. We've seen him score in the ACL too, so he'll be feeling very much at home as a Macarthur player already. But here's his first opportunity, the Croatian, to play in the A-League, and he comes on for Dean Bosniak. Free kick here. Grajan, 31 years old, 284 games in the high NL across a number of teams, and also a stint in the Bosnian League as well, so vastly experienced in the Balkans. Would be an ideal introduction if you can find a way under the end of Bratton's free kick here. De Silva tries for the big roundhouse kick, and it's blocked away.
Just sometimes it looks like this new match ball that we have is just not sitting down in time. It looks as though it's bouncing quite high and spinning off the surface. I'm not sure how slick that surface is, but right there, Damien De Silva had a great opportunity to bring that ball down. And, you know, top-level footballers in that position should take you 1 or 2 touches to get it down at least, but it's taking 3 touches sometimes for these players to get it under control.
And on the last line of defence, you have little margin for error. Bratton clears. Caceres. He's going to bring the ball under his command in 1 touch. It is him. Look at this. He's reaching almost top speed here as he sprints down the wing. And the ball breaks kindly. Economidis back to Caceres. Really nice little drag step on the ball. He can face the target, but he had a wall of orange in his way. There's the long shot on here. Bratton resists the urge. Economidis again, being guarded by Salas, and it's safely into the gloves of Dean Bouzanis.
Much brighter from Macarthur. Economidis has moved over to the left-hand side in this second half, and it's bearing fruit. Caceres getting around him and feeding each other these sort of situations. Getting inside the box is important, but getting across the goalkeeper even more so. They didn't have anybody in that near post option.
There's the second half possession. Brisbane happy to give Macarthur the ball and say, what can you do to try and unlock our defence? It's a massive skew. I wonder if that'll sustain to the finish line or not. Here's Vidic. Through comes Randazzo. And Sawyer caught late. And Valkanis. If my maths is correct, it's his second yellow card. And that is going to change things for the Brisbane Raw. It is not the debut that 19-year-old Dimitri Valkanis wanted. His second yellow means he's got to go. Red card.
He is asking for the video assistant to have a little look at this. It might be a little bit premature, but there were question marks before the start of the game. Yeah, from that angle, not conclusive, but it looks as though the leg is raised going into the ball. And when you lead in with your studs at that sort of height, it's very difficult to get it right. There was a question mark over would Lucas Harrington start in that position tonight, or would Valkanis get the nod? Be very interesting to see if this is a second yellow and red. It's maybe a a mistake from the coach.
And former Raw player Shane Stefanuto urging Dimitri Valkanis down the tunnel there as his night comes to an end. So that certainly makes things a measure more difficult for Brisbane. Macarthur would love nothing more than to strike straight away. Walter Scott is the other player that's come on for Macarthur. 36th appearance for the 26-year-old, previously at the Perth Glory, a stint at the Wollongong Wolves in between to reprove himself and win back an opportunity in the professional ranks. Through the left, a deflected cross, and Hosine Billity is able to get it away. He avoids conceding a corner, and there's going to be more activity, and Lucas Harrington is coming on, and Georgios Vrakas's A-League debut comes to an end. So an attacking-minded player comes off for a centre-back, and that means that the Raw will reorganise now with Billity and also the new man Harrington, who does have a pre-arranged transfer to the MLS coming. I think Miles Stajovski's asking for a yellow card there because Harrington came running on before Vrakas had left the pitch.
Well, there's all you need to know, Teo, about Harrington coming into the pitch. There's a lot of question marks about why he wasn't starting this game. He's fully fit, ready to go, and he's going to need to have a big second half here.
Randazzo cuts it back. Bratton. Grosjean. And now Scott. He is a natural left footer and he wants that left peg. Cross is brought down off the chest of Stajic. Scott. Pass was intercepted by McGarry. Vidic. And McGarry is happy to go back to Harrington and give him a first touch. Long ball to no great effect here. It gives us the chance to go down to Scott McDonald. Scott, your view of the second yellow card for Dimitri Valkanis, and also following up Eric's point on the pitch and the ball as well.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a great call, Eric. It's been slick as. It's a wonderful service, but it's rock hard getting on the surface earlier on. You could see, and then the bounce of it as well. It's just like playing on ice at times and taking a little while for players to adjust, but I tell you now, Brisbane Roar, that energy that they showed in the first half, and look, naturally they're going to go back a little bit, aren't they? 1-0 up, coming out half-time. They didn't really want half-time to start, to come at that point. They were really on top and trying to get that second goal, but it's been a poor sort of start for Brisbane Roar, and then obviously getting that setting off. I don't think you can really have too many complaints of the second yellow. I know, Valkanis Senior was not very happy and felt that there should have been a couple more yellows from Macarthur, particularly in the first half, and that will probably be something that he alludes to probably post-match, particularly if they don't get this result, guys.
Scott McDonald on the sidelines for us. Thank you, Scott. And well, the clock is going to move agonisingly slowly for the Brisbane Roar from here, as they are set behind the ball and Macarthur go to work looking for a gap. Bratton, Bazanis backtracking. Sawyer wins the header, but the whistle goes. Sawyer protests his innocence.
I don't think there's too much wrong with that. Just because Harry Sawyer's a big lad, he's got to go and contest those sorts of aerial balls. He's got eyes for the ball, and Bazanis is there trying to catch it, but he didn't get himself in front of it. It's an unlucky one for the big man.
And you might have just seen before that replay there, Ji Dong-won is being ready to come on, the 55 cap South Korean international. 34 years of age now. But he's not on just yet. There's Ji Dong-won. There's the Mexican Rafa Duran. We had a very brief look at Rafa Duran in the ACL2 a couple of weeks ago. He's going to come on with a bit more of a chunk of time to make an impact here as Macarthur chase this deficit. 80-20 the possession count.
It's going to be a difficult watch, I think, if you're a Raw fan. We're not going to get a real indication to see what sort of side they are after that sending off. And it can't happen, you know. Forget about the relationship with the Valkanis, you know, father-son situation. But if you're a 19-year-old on yellow card, you've got to be able to walk that tightrope. And with somebody with European experience, you would expect them to keep their nerve and hold their nerve. And if they're not showing that, then maybe that substitution needed to be made at all, or at half-time maybe.
Underlapping run from Grosjean was a good one. Bratton whips it in over the bar. Golden opportunity for Macarthur to draw level, and it's been spurned.
It was just a little bit too high for Anthony Caceres, but they're flooding the box at the moment. Macarthur, it's a great move. Another perfect delivery from Luke Bratton. Just unfortunate it wasn't to Harrison Sawyer.
And so Sawyer comes off, and on comes Ji Dong-won. More than 100 appearances in the Bundesliga and the Korean K-League, and also a season in the English Premier League. Oliver Randazzo's first A-League start is also finished at 65 minutes. And Rafa Duran, the Mexican, is into the game. 19 appearances in Liga MX, but vastly experienced in the Mexican second division with more than 130 appearances.
And that's going to be the difficult thing. First time outside of Mexico. First challenge here is to try and get his team back in the contests. And Macarthur, let's see how good they are now. We're talking them up about being candidates to be in the six.
Well, Brisbane's second goal would be a godsend! And it was laid off to Jay O'Shea. Great centre forward play by Vidic. And he put it wide of the bottom left corner.
Almost looked like a foul throw there from Salas on that side, but great hold-up play from Vidic. That's what you expect from your big man. Hold it up, wait for somebody to arrive, and who else? O'Shea. Even with 10 men, he is running absolutely everything. They know they need that second goal.
And it is also a reminder to Macarthur that they can't simply assume that the ball will take care of itself getting down to the attacking third. They still need to be accountable at the other end. Here's Ji Dong-won, first touch off the bench. Bratton whipped in and dealt with by Billity. Vidic a long way from home. You can expect that he and Roos might get dragged further and further into the defensive half for outlet passes and clearances in desperation. Here's Grosjean, and he wins a throw-in.
Just need a little bit more connection in that wide area on both ends of the pitch. Macarthur have been the most dangerous when they've got themselves into 2v1 situations, whether it's Economidis and Caceres on the left-hand side. Got De Silva stepping forward now.
That pass was a misdirect, though. Shallow clearance means that Caceres is back on the ball. Scott. Grosjean. Jags inside. Again, the service to Ji Dong-won. Not what he needed. He needed it right to feet. Instead, pushed a metre wide. Bratton launches a high ball. And it's going to run on for the strike and half volleyed a mile over the bar. Chris Economidis got there, but he didn't keep it down.
You don't mind that from Luke Bratton, playing a high line there at the Brisbane Roar. You've got to look for that option. Just couldn't control the ball. And Economidis over the crossbar, but he wanted the return pass there, Duran, into his feet. Maybe been a better option for him. They can get to that position, but they have to then control the ball and look for a better option. The ball's not sitting that way tonight, and if Macarthur are smart, they've got to play in and get numbers around that area.
Free kick given here against Vidic. Well, we heard from Scott McDonald about the firmness of the pitch as well. So the higher you strike it, the higher it's going to bounce when it comes down. Just adds to the technical demands of bringing it under control eventually.
Well, you'd expect the players to get used to it, but what it means is that when the ball goes in quickly to you, it's very difficult to get the ball under control. It's very hard to play things first time if the ball is coming in quickly. If it goes in the air, then it's even more difficult. But they have that power up front, Macarthur. Valkanis knows that he's got to hang on now for the next 25 minutes or so.
Chidong-Won, he's had a few passes sent in his direction that didn't spot him up, and on that occasion he made it a little tricky for Grosjean, but the attack continues. Scott has attracted the attention of two defenders, and the two defenders do very nicely. James McGarry sees it over the line.
He's had a solid debut tonight, McGarry. Some really quick, fast touches, but also very good at positioning himself in that back line. I think Brisbane Roar have needed a really dynamic left back, shall we say, after the departures of Corey Brown and also Jack Hind on the other side for the Roar.
Just the 3 New Zealand caps for McGarry. Of course, it's a World Cup year for the Kiwis as well. They've already qualified for the World Cup. They beat New Caledonia in the Oceania final, and that their ticket to the World Cup, just like the Socceroos, is already guaranteed. But McGarry coming from a long way back, if he's going to use the A-League season to press his case. Of course, there's going to be so many eyes on New Zealand this A-League season, with Auckland, the defending premiers, kicking off their defensive first place on the ladder away at Melbourne Victory tomorrow. And there'll be plenty of memories of how they exited at Victory's hands last season. Build up for Macarthur here, and the shot sprayed wide, and the chances are falling to Chris Economidis at the moment, but he wasn't able to put that one on target.
It was the right move to take it himself. It's a great little burst forward, and then Economidis, you expect him in front of goal. Who else but Anthony Caceres looking for that return pass, but he does really well there, the number 9, to take it himself. He's trying to wrap his foot around it into the corner. Those sorts of areas, they have to be punished, the Brisbane Roar.
And don't forget, the standalone game on Sunday is the F3 Derby. Central Coast Mariners, with Warren Moon appointed just days before the game. If they were to win this one, it really would be a sweet victory. Newcastle flying high, all the momentum will be bringing plenty of away fans down the motorway to Polytech Stadium to face the Central Coast Mariners, the Australia Cup champions. And you can see it on Sunday on Paramount Plus. Back to matters here. We're into the final 20 minutes. Square ball. Politeides not awake to it.
He's had a solid game tonight for me. Milorad Stajic has just been picking up every loose ball that Macarthur are playing in there. His timing to get out and go and break things up and then try and keep the ball simple. Yes, he gave the ball away in that instance, but he looks like a really good acquisition for the Brisbane Roar.
And his importance is only going to be more pronounced as the game goes on, and he wills himself into the contest here. Milorad Stajic, and Chris Economidis gets booked for the way he collided here with the Bosnian Swiss.
That cuteness that we were talking about before, Teo. He can be physical. They've already got a man sent off the Brisbane Roar. All that experience from Milorad Stajic. He's a big beast. But he played the smart hand there in front of the referee.
And perhaps waiting for the trainer here, because he did put hands to the head. He's done so again there. Came through the juniors at Basel in Switzerland. Most recently at Radnitsky in Serbia, and a handful of caps for the Bosnia under-21 team for the 23-year-old. Chris Economidis with a rueful shake of the head at receiving the booking. But he's a fascination, Milorad Stajic, because he's not a goal-scoring player. He's very much a workhorse, a space eater, and when he needs to put his body on the line, he's got a very big body to do so with.
I love that one, Teo. Space eater. Okay. Yeah, I think he fits the system really well. If they are playing a 4-2-2, the Brisbane Roar this year, it's Jay O'Shea, Stajic, and Sammy Klein, and one other in that midfield 4 block. They've had a couple of head knocks tonight, the Brisbane Roar. This will be a shame if Stage has to come off as well.
Chris Long having already departed earlier in the half. In terms of remaining players on the bench for the Roar, 17-year-old Quinn McNichol, potential 20-year-old debutant Noah Mayoroni, and the former Western United player, 22-year-old Jordan Lawton. So those are the options of the outfielders that remain for Michael Valkanis. The good news for the Roar is they've got a free kick. They've actually committed quite a few numbers forward here. Klein flies for the ball. And a clip here. Jidong Won is going to be booked. And he can only smile ruefully at receiving a yellow ticket on his A-League introduction.
It's McGarry again, just with that quality to know that he's going to use the touchline as his friend. And the other side was the unrushing Jidong Won. Tuna, as his nickname is. Famous company in South Korea, Dongwon Industries. Famous for tuna.
Eric Partaloo bringing us insight in more ways than one. Look at that, 7 yellow cards in 75 minutes and a red, of course, for Dimitri Valkanis. We expected a physical game. It's, if anything, met our expectations, and yet watching it unfold has still surprised us at times with how it has happened.
It's been a great battle, though. And if you're talking about a team that's come from a heavy negativity sort of rounded season last year, this has been just the medicine for those Raw fans that have come out and watched. If they can get across the line in this game, they're very difficult to get wins on opening day.
O'Shea's free kick dealt with by Caceres' header. Stage back up and running, not afraid to use his head. Be dinked to the edge of the box. Bility staying forward from the set piece. Vidic is leading the press here and nearly got himself possession, but ultimately the touchline won out. Caceres is refusing to hand over the ball here. Confusion reigns. Jay O'Shea wants to fix his stocking.
It's a bit early, isn't it?
And now the throw-in will take place for McGarry. He wants the exact blade of grass where the throw-in is to be taken from. And we're back live at the feet of James McGarry. And can't find a kind deflection, however. Macarthur just a kick and hope to clear. And Harrington gets up for the header. Klein now, what can he do in possession? Sam Klein wheels away from Bratton. Roos hooks it in. Oh, it was teasing. Vidic just caught a step behind his marker. And now Macarthur can counter. Rafa Duran. A shallow pass, it held up on the turf. McGarry, and no shortage of commitment out there. Walter Scott met him in equal measure.
Well, you love to see it. That's a fantastic tackle from Walter Scott there. It had to be made. And McGarry, who's been throwing himself into absolutely everything, you expect Macarthur to break forward in those positions, but watch this one, bang! It's a really meaty tackle on the halfway line, ones we love to see.
Well, the start-stop nature of this game has been predominantly stop over the last 4 minutes, and that will suit the Brisbane Roar just fine. Grabbing and grappling continues. Vidic not able to convince the referee that it should have been a Brisbane ball. Valkanis right out to the edge of his technical area and beyond. Hooked forward here. Roos can turn and face. Shot on sight. De Silva had arms tucked against his body. And his block is able to spill the ball in Macarthur's favour.
Now Macarthur need to see something from their substitutes. That XG from Macarthur going up. It's that time of the game where space is going to be there for them. Can they make the right passes? Can they create the right opportunities? Right now, Caceres this deep is not where you want him to be.
Martinez whipped in, Bility, it sits up teasingly, and it's hooked across the face by Shime Grajan. It caught a deflection. It will be a corner.
Grajan getting himself forward, having a little snapshot there on the edge of the box. Bility just trying to get something on it. It's a good block again from Stajic. It's been everywhere tonight.
Bratton to take the corner. An up and under header from De Silva finds its way out. It gives us a chance to throw down to Scott McDonald. Scott, what's the latest?
Yeah, look, it looks like there'll be a debut for Noah Maroney, Brisbane Roar scholar, and Loughton looks like he's coming on as well. McGarry just went down there, obviously, with that challenge, and he pointed to his knee to Michael Valkanis, and it looks like he might be one of the ones that's coming off. But you have to say, Macarthur really have huffed and puffed, but not really done a lot, and the game management of Brisbane Roar has been absolutely excellent in the last 10 minutes, you have to say.
Scott, it feels like, if anything, Macarthur are getting further away than closer to an equaliser. And,
yeah, absolutely.
The Roar are getting more accustomed to the defending.
Yeah, well, what was a really strange substitution for me was Harrison Sawyer coming off. You know, someone like him, who, takes care of, a lot of centre-halves and a lot of attraction and getting someone around him. To take him off that early was a big surprise for me.
There's a long ball here, is hoping for Rafa Duran instead, and is cleared away by Harrington. Roos throws himself in, and illegally, according to the referee.
The reason the referee's given that is because he's not watching the football. And it is going to be McGarry. After that challenge, looks as though it's going to be the end of his night.
Great observation from Scott McDonald to call that one as it was happening, and indeed it's unfolded that way. Saw Dean Bazanis take a seat as well, and I think Adam Kersey is saying to the trainer, go and treat Bazanis first rather than McGarry, but there are spot fires flaming everywhere.
Looks as though Bazanis is holding his groin there, potentially from a long kick or from a movement, but here's the goal that separates the two sides, and it just came from that handball from Luke Bratton, and right into the top corner, into the roof of the net. Mr. Captain Fantastic. He doesn't miss a game, doesn't miss from the penalty spot.
Luke Bratton and Michael Valkanis getting into a war of words. Bratton's never afraid to match it verbally with opponents on and off the pitch. And here comes Maironi. What a moment for Noah Maironi. 20 years old. Was a Roar junior through his young teenage years, a brief stint at Brisbane City, and then back to the Roar NPL. 16 appearances and 2 goals, and promoted to a first A-League contract and an A-League debut. Congratulations to him. Great moment for the Brisbane Roar Academy as well, as Noah Maironi comes on for his Isuzu UTE A-League debut. And it is part of a double sub, and the scorer of the goal of the year last season, Jordan Lawton, is going to be coming on here. And would you believe it, they're subbing the sub. Justin Vidic is coming off, and Jordan Lawton is coming on. And let's not forget, Vidic and Roos were subbed on just before the red card. So I think Michael Valkanis might explain it that way.
That's a difficult one to take, and we know how good Jordan Lawton can be, particularly in the final third. But you would think in the final 10 minutes of a game, would you want to have the physical presence or Vidic up top or back defending at set pieces? Jordan Lawton, that's not his game, but maybe the legs will help the Roar get across the line.
Well, he's lining up in a defensive line here right next to Harrington and Bility, at least as they were watching Macarthur play down the wing on that occasion. And all of a sudden, when there was a 6 on the clock, it was Macarthur's friend. Now it starts with an 8. And now the clock is slowly but surely becoming Brisbane's friend, as they lead 1-0. They've doubled the shot count, but they really haven't made Dean Bazanis work, and he's received his treatment and is all right to continue. And as Bility drives it away, Scott McDonald's got a quick update for us on that last sub from the Roar.
Yeah, I think there's been a change in shape, guys, as well. Very brave from Michael Valkanis, early on there with 10 men. They went to a 4-3-2, and now he's changed it, obviously, with 10 minutes ago, 4-5-1, bringing on Loughton at left back. He's had to. There's no choice for that with McGarry. There's no really natural option on there, so he's gone with a more experienced one in Royce to lead the line for them. Great opportunity.
Long shot goes wide. Thank you, Scott. Great insight there as to why they subbed the sub and took off Vidic. And the injury to McGarry is the reason why. And so Jordan Lawton's going to be a left back for the remainder of the game.
It is shut up shop time for the Brisbane Roar, and they've been put into this situation. It's a shame on opening night we haven't seen the best from them, but all that matters under this new era of coaching and style is getting a result. You're going to see Michael Roos just doing this lone role by himself now for the next 10 minutes or so, but if they get away on opening day, it's been 6 years since Brisbane Roar have won on opening day, so that's what they're looking forward to.
On pass here, and Ji Dong-won has straight offside. Speak about unwanted streaks, Eric. The Roar haven't beaten Macarthur since February 2022. Well over 3 years. So they've got the opening day to get off their back, and now also the head-to-head against Macarthur. And the finish line is starting to come into view.
Yeah, 8 games ago. And that's what he wants to get in this side, Michael Valkanis, is belief, it's attitude, it's determination. They haven't really played amazing football tonight, but in the right moments, they did just enough to get a goal.
And here's Maironi off the bench. Salas has gone bombing forward here and has willed himself onto the ball. De Silva blocks the cross, though. Does that mean there's a gap to exploit on Salas's right flank? Not with the number of defenders Roar have currently got staying back. But O'Shea has possession. Klein has found a pocket of space, but he's not able to send the ball any further forward. Bazanis. We will review the Paramount Plus player index in post-game. You can see there Jay O'Shea, the goal scorer, with a healthy lead. 3 out of the next 4 are Macarthur players. That's the Paramount Plus player index, and we will see who ends up on top as part of our post-game show. Scott's pass here. Harrington down to the ball. Scott has it again. Bratton. Grijan. Shime Grijan. And now Rafa Duran. Politinas whips it across. Oh, and it's caught. Economidis at an awkward height.
You cannot ask for a better ball in. Across the face of goal. Time running out. It was a lovely little piece of skill from Rafa Duran to keep it alive. And that ball there has to be attacked. Ji Dong-won waiting. Economidis waiting. Macarthur need it now, and they didn't get it.
Of course, if they were to score now, they would have plenty of time to think about launching forward for the win. Brisbane Roar are holding on to this clean sheet. Ji Dong-won. Crossfield pass, and you saw it accelerate off the surface.
Just getting used to the speed of the A-League, I think. The South Korean former international. There's a lot of space and time out there when you're one-man advantage. You've got to make that count. And I think for large parts of this half, Taya, with an extra man, they've not pushed the ball around into the right areas. They've not been quick enough to get that ball out wide.
Will it click for them right at the end of the night, though? Here is Scott in space. Into the box it goes. And that Maironi at the fall of the ball. He didn't have a white shirt near him. Lawton's pass less than convincing as it takes a deflection. Economidis. Bratton. Luke Bratton left to his own devices here. Roar daring him to whip it in. So he does. And Dean Bazanis treats it like catching practice.
Yeah, it raises more questions about who's going to replace Marouane Yakalish. Luke Bratton whipping in cross after cross after cross. Trying to tease somebody to go and attack the ball. Ji Dong-won still finding his feet. And Harry Sawyer not on the pitch, as Scott McDonald alluded to. They really have lost that attacking threat, particularly late on in the game as well.
Ji Dong-won might have the resume, but he hasn't had the desired effect out on the pitch, at least not yet. Things might turn As we tick towards the 90-minute mark, a high raking ball and Lawton not taking any risks. It's a corner kick. And Macarthur can send plenty of numbers forward. And they're going to bring on Matthew Yerman here right at the end of the night. So they've got an attacking corner. Why not bring on another tall player? However, it's going to be like for like. Damien De Silva, maybe he's run himself into the ground and they just want some fresh legs to keep the intensity high right at the end of the night. On comes the former Socceroo, Yerman. And an attacking corner is what he is introduced to. Taken short. Economidis lifts in the cross. Good header away by Klein. Politidis. Bratton deflected cross this time, and that made it advantageous for Dean Buzanis. It's a lot of nervous spaces in the den. And the clearance is going to bounce straight out, but we're into the last 30 seconds of regulation.
I just noticed there, Jordan Lawton sprinting forward to try and get up the pitch and score another one. Not sure if that's part of the ploy from Michael Valkanis, but you would think right now it's all about sitting in and defending these crosses, and they've got to make sure they win every battle from here on out the Raw.
Samus had to bounce back up after his slight challenge, and that's why, because he was able to then intercept that pass. Get ready for a big number. It's 8 additional minutes. Renewed hope for Macarthur. And that finish line, which was looking a bit closer, no, Raw have got a few more laps of the stadium to go. In it comes, and controlled just by Economidis. Scott, and he bends it to Buzanis, and that's 3 or 4 crosses now that have just been uncontested claims for Buzanis in the last 5 minutes.
I think when they go back and watch the video of this game, Macarthur, they will have to look at their entry points into the box and the way that they could perhaps get players going in there at speed. Economidis, Caceres, with the ball at their feet, is probably a better avenue for them in those sorts of areas.
Now that is a pinpoint pass. It's played Economidis right down to the byline. Big deflection on the cross, and a hard header to win in there. You see the disappointment for Rafa Duran as he sends it well wide of the target.
I know it was an amazing ball here from Matt Yerman, just pinging that one right into the perfect spot. Economidis has not got to break stride, but even from there, one-on-one with Jordan Lawton, I'll be expecting Chris Economidis to perhaps go at the youngster and get into the box where something else might occur. The crosses haven't been working.
It's a stressful end to the night for every Brisbane fan. Those in the stadium are still using their voices, making some noise, urging the home team on. They've had fun tonight, but they're trying to use that nervous energy to urge the home team to a win. Macarthur will lay siege again. Caceres. Grijan. And again, it's Dean Buzanis just plucking it out of the air.
He's made a lot of saves tonight, Dean Buzanis, when he's returned to Australia, but they haven't really been ones that have troubled him. But it's good to know that the Brisbane Roar have a player between the sticks that's reliable, that's possibly going to keep a clean sheet. They didn't keep enough last season, just the one.
And now they have possession in their attacking half, so exactly how they would want to wind the clock here. Jay O'Shea, Jordan Lawton working together. Can they have designs on a second goal? O'Shea. And the ball sat up in the penalty area, but there was no one to advance onto it after Lawton was out of the equation. And Roos, normally buzzing around the box, was just 5 metres off the pace. Macarthur probed the left. Rafa Duran. Economidis unmarked at the back post, but Lawton closed him down in the nick of time. He was able to make ground and block his cut back away. Economidis hangs it up. And Dean Buzanis remains impassable down in the Brisbane Roar goal.
Well, he's catching everything at the moment. Catching practice for someone like Dean Buzanis, but you've got to go and make those big plays. And the Brisbane Roar had a really good chance at the other end. Could have made it 2. You can see the desire and the sparkle in the eyes of the players still to try and go and get that second goal when it's on. When it's not on, they've got to be in their shape. They're 10 men against 11. Macarthur, this is the last chance saloon for them. Can they find something here?
Almost half of the 8-minute stoppage time have expired. And clearance away. Macarthur had to go and retrieve the ball. The long diagonal again. Harrington with a solid header. Just blazing away, trying to get it down the opposite end by any means necessary. Curto's gone roaming out of his penalty area. There's some tired Brisbane players out there, but they have to reload and keep concentrating if they want to hold on here. Economidis. Scott. Whips it in. First header Harrington. The follow-up is wide. Politidis ended up sending it 2 metres wide of the target.
That might have been the chance that they were looking for there. The cross goes in, and the second ball, second phase, a scrap popping out to a perfect opportunity for Politidis on his stronger foot. Just dragged it across the goalkeeper. Doesn't hit the target. Miles Terjovski knows that was a really good chance. Maybe the only chance left for them to get back into this game.
Politidis scored 2 goals last season. He's only 2 in the A-League for Melbourne City. Not sure who Adam Kersey's booked there. We'll find out in short order. But Dean Bazanis, we saw him go down about 10 minutes ago. And now he's down again receiving treatment. Macklin Freak is the very experienced raw backup keeper. But there doesn't seem to be a hive of activity just yet on the sidelines.
And this is potentially the question mark over the results, is that you've got players like Bazanis, Long, Stajich went down, McGarry's come off. They've thrown absolutely everything into this first game. If they go and get 3 points here, the Brisbane Roar, how does it look like going forward, week in, week out? The temperatures get hotter in Brisbane, week in, week out. Can they play this way? Can they use this sort of energy in every single match?
Well, by my count, Raw have used 5 subs anyway, so it's either Bazanis or an outfielder. It may as well be Bazanis. And as far as going even beyond 98 minutes, that will be at referee Adam Kersey's discretion.
Well, the groin looks fine to me.
We've been told that the physio is the player who received the yellow card, Eric, or the participant.
I wonder if that's a first.
Here come Macarthur. Trying to move at speed through Duran. And clipped away from Ji Dong-won. Klein. He was the reason that Raw finished last season with such a burst. It was crucial in them breaking their winless run at Suncorp Stadium. And he wants to set down a marker just like that man there, the new coach, Michael Valkanis. We're into the last minute of the original 8. There will be more. Cut back here. Politidis. A lofted cross. And Lawton puts it behind for a corner.
That's why he's on. The big haircut, making sure that he can just flick something on. But they've got to get 2 players out here, the Raw.
Scott waxing with Bratton. All about the delivery. Scott driving it straight onto the head of Michael Roos. Whistles start up in the stands. Bratton. Overhead kick was attempted in there from Caceres. It's cleared again. So that's the original 8 minutes done. How much more remains for Macarthur? Brisbane hoping for the full-time whistle, but they must defend again. Politidis' cross. Ability with the clearance. Adam Kersey's not lifting the whistle to his mouth just yet. Bratton. A line of attackers wait for the ball. Who's going to provide it? Scott. Economidis. This is it for Macarthur. Economidis jags, delivers. And it's cleared again. Styac was back helping out the defence. Macarthur follows up once, twice. And the whistle goes. That'll stop play. That might get Brisbane Roar to the finish line. There's a yellow card as well. And that'll be irrelevant in the grand scheme of things because it's a Roar free kick and a chance to drive the ball down into their attacking half.
They've done so well to get out of there. Brisbane Roar, they're fighting, they're clawing, they're pushing together. Macarthur just stepping forward, bringing in that foul. And they just got to hang on now, the Brisbane Roar.
As we approach 100 minutes. Down to the corner it goes. Macarthur's time might be up. Everything needs to go right for them from here. Brisbane Roar salute on the opening night. The fans rewarded for their faith. And is the Roar coming back to Brisbane after a show of character? Down to 10 players. Brisbane Roar have kept a gritty clean sheet. And it's 3 precious points in the bank to start for Michael Valkanis as the new coach. Every Brisbane player had a share in this, and you can see what it means to them after the full-time whistle. Macarthur will be wondering how they didn't find a way through. But the Roar fans who've been starved of good times, this is the kickstart they needed. And it might tell us so much about the trajectory of this team going into the new Isuzu UTE A-League season. And the fans will go home from Suncorp telling everyone who will listen about Brisbane Roar 1, Macarthur FC 0. Eric Pardelou, how about that from Brisbane?
Massive result, massive performance, really good foundation for the home side. It's been 6 years since the Brisbane Roar have won on opening day and 8 games since they've beaten Macarthur FC in the A-League. Valkanis asks for the crowd to turn up.